You're listening to KSKQ 89.5 FM, Ashland, Oregon.
You are listening to KSKQ 89.5 FM, Ashland, Oregon, and KSKQ translator K231CW 94.1 FM, Medford, Oregon. Thanks for being here. It is now time for the EARTHEART Radio Show.
Blessings and welcome to EARTHEART Radio. Finally beginning to awaken from the illusion of separateness and broadcasting live from the KSKQ studios in beautiful Ashland, Oregon. Here's your host, Shankara Das.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, and welcome to EARTHEART Radio Show number 15. Wow, here in Ashland, Oregon, we got nailed with a little winter snowstorm this past Tuesday and Wednesday, but with our semi-Mediterranean temperatures, the snow has melted away, like yesterday's news and yesterday's blues. Today on the show, you can expect harmonious music, positive news, the Saint Spotlight, and of course, most important to me, in this minute, I have a guest to introduce. I find her to be quite brave. In the world today, you'll find a store that advertises and sells alcohol and sells booze on every corner in just about every town in the nation. Alcohol consumption is one of the quickest, most self-destructive drugs there is. I personally spent 30 years as an alcoholic. Yet it's encouraged on a subconscious and very conscious other level as well. Then on the flip side of the addiction coin, we have other choices and drugs and crutches available: heroin, meth, coke, pills of every kind, on and on and on. Drug use carries a stigma unlike alcohol. Drug users are generally shamed and looked and talked down upon. My guest today is very brave because she spent 13 years as a methamphetamine addict. 13 years later, yes, I said 13 years later, she's sober. She's operating on high versus low frequencies. She's here to converse with me about sobriety through spirituality, and I'm very happy that she's here today. I would like you to welcome my friend Gina Devi to the EARTHEART Radio Show.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Did you walk or drive?
I drove today, but I am walking distance.
Yeah, I've seen you walking around. I know you don't live too far from the area.
No, I live right in the middle of town here. Yeah.
Are you originally from Oregon?
I am originally from a tiny town called Augusta, Georgia, a little farm in Georgia.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Me being from Illinois, I always assume everyone's a Midwest person, but I've been through Georgia 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
What made you come to Oregon?
Well, life. You know, I moved around a lot as a child, and parents divorced. I ended up moving out to San Diego to go to college, and then Hawaii, and then Oregon.
That's right. I remember you telling me in the past about Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Before we start talking about the subject matter at hand, tell me about your experience with Ram Dass. Did you tell me that you had done some cooking for Baba Ram Dass?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did. On Maui, I actually worked for a catering company, a woman and I, and Ram Dass offers his different retreats and different talks and things, and I was blessed enough to be able to assist in catering for him a few different retreats and talks he did.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Did you get to spend much time conversing with Baba, or was it more or less a quiet kind of relationship?
You know, it was quiet. He talks so slow, and he's such a beautiful presence. I just sort of sat in his presence, and his talks are so heartfelt, and and it was just beautiful to get to serve him and just see his smile and feel his love. Yeah.
So you were in Maui?
Yeah.
That's rad. Yeah. How long did you live there?
I actually lived on the Big Island for almost 3 years, but I would take little trips to Maui and Kauai from time to time. Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Kauai. It's such a Hindu island.
Yeah, the monastery there.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I have.
See, I've never been there, but I've always wanted to.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's rad.
Yeah.
So I take it probably like me and probably like a lot of folks in America, when you grow up in your 20s and in your teens in the early 20s seem to be like, especially in the 20s in America, it seems to be the party years and the sex years and like the debauchery kind of years where we're all discovering or trying to discover, but usually it's through feeling like our senses instead of our hearts. So like me, apparently you at some point in your life, you found drugs. It came into your life somehow. What made you go that route in the very beginning? What made you go from a person that was just a normal person to a person that started sampling drugs? What made you go there?
Yeah, good question. Well, I just wanted to correct something you said earlier. You said I spent 13 years addicted. It was actually just 4.5 years addicted.
Okay.
Actively addicted to methamphetamines. The 13 years was how long I've been in recovery.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's great. It's fine. I think in regards to your question, I think just growing up in society in this time, it's just incredibly challenging me. We all go through different things. And I know so many people from broken homes. And I myself was from a broken home. My parents divorced. My father was an alcoholic. His entire family had alcoholism that ran through his DNA, his like karmic life. And that was sort of passed down to me. So we had the divorce, and my family divorced, and then my father had a stroke when I was 12. And so I think I just went through all of this trauma without a way to process it. And I think that that's so common in society. Like, we just go through so much with no tools. And so in my teens and 20s, I had no skills, like no skills to process all the emotions and all the things that I had been through. And so I was looking for connection. I was looking for God. I was looking for love. I was looking for myself. And when somebody handed me drugs and I felt like that love, I was like, okay, I'll take it. Like whatever you got, I'll take, because you're just looking to find, you're looking to find God.
God. Yeah. That's exactly what one of my teachers said. He said, and I don't have to name names because when I say my teacher, there's so many of them. You know how that goes. Mm-hmm. Just the people we learn from. Mm-hmm. But one of the teachers said, every time you go to use alcohol or drugs, you're just searching for God.
Mm-hmm. I 100% believe that.
I do too. And that's, when I decided to come up with the theme for this show, I just wanted to reach out to find someone that could relate, because I can come on here and talk about my experience with addiction, but I'd rather have somebody like that's not just not hosting a radio show. I want somebody just real to come in and just be real as can be about it. So when you got into that world of addiction, did you have a lot of friends that were into the same thing, or were you more of an isolationist user? Yeah,
I started smoking cigarettes, and then it was like with all my friends, and then I was dating a guy, and I want to say he got me addicted, but that's not fair because it was my own choice. But he introduced it to me. Yeah. And so from then, it probably took me about a week and a half to be addicted, I would say. It's an incredibly addictive drug. I was addicted to methamphetamines. And, within 6 months to a year, I was a everyday user.
Yeah, and also you said something earlier to correct me about the years, and whether it's 4 years or 13, is it really, you know what I mean? 4 is still a long time. 4.5 years is a long time, whether it's 4 or 10, right? I mean, it's a rabbit hole of being lost and darkness and self-destruction.
Yeah, it was. I started when I was 19. So.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
So what made you finally, when you went through that experience, obviously, having gone down similar experiences, not with meth, but with alcohol, either way, self-destruction.
Yeah.
What was the thing that woke you up? Like, what was the God experience that made you realize that there was an alternative to the crutch of drugs?
Well, I was going through a lot of severe health problems because at a certain point your body just breaks down. And I did reach a moment where I was, everybody says, oh, you have to hit rock bottom. And like I did have that moment where I was having, I had gotten kicked out of college. I had lost a job. Like my body, was just breaking down. I was, right now I'm 160 pounds, but I was less than 100 pounds. I was unhappy. I was unhealthy. I was just miserable. And I had a moment where, I had a moment where I felt it's kind of silly, actually. I had a moment where I fell down on my ground or my bedroom floor, and I was just crying. I was just like, and it was that moment where it's like, you reach that surrender point, and I was always like, I got this, or blaming other people. It was always just like so dark. And I had this moment where I was like, just like, I just gave up. And on the radio, as I was feeling that, it was this country song called Jesus Take the Wheel. I wasn't even Christian, but it was like, this random song came on the radio as I was surrendering, and it was like, Jesus Take the Wheel, take it from my, this
Wow.
like country song. So I'm like, I'm breaking apart, I'm crying. I'm like, it's just like pile of crumpled girl on the floor. And it was like, and I heard this voice in the right side of my head, like a male voice speaking to me, just like you're talking to me now. And he said, you can either stay or leave. And it was like,
wow.
Yeah, I still get like chills, because it was that moment.
I got goosebumps when you said that.
Yeah, it was that moment where it was like, there's something bigger than me that's giving me free will and choice, and just stay or go.
Now, did you realize in that moment that, hey, this is a kind of an epiphany for me? This is a moment of change. Did you realize that was happening?
Oh yeah. It was kind of like my whole universe clicked one click to the right. Like my whole reality shifted.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you go into a detox or any kind of rehab facility?
No, I didn't. When that moment happened and I decided I wanted to live and I sort of surrendered, it was kind of like life just presented me with the next step and the next step. I did now what I realized was abstinent-based sobriety, which is just like, you just don't do it.
Yeah.
And I just chose not to use anymore. I quit that day. I quit smoking. I quit the drugs. I quit the guy. I quit everything. And I had to change my entire life. I mean, it is a huge process to get clean.
Did you get rid of the friends that you were hanging out with?
Yeah, I had to leave the city I was living in. I had to leave all my friends. I actually ended up practicing yoga every day for a year, which got me on my feet. And then I moved into an ashram in California, and I lived there for a year and a half.
Wow, I bet that was incredibly healing.
Yeah, it was.
Was it really good for you?
It was, yeah. The Shivananda Yoga Farm in Grass Valley.
Now, see, I've known other. Do you know Hariom Radhakrishna and Nina Radhakrishna?
There are a lot of Radhakrishnas. I'm not sure.
Well, they were former yoga teachers here in Ashland until about 6 months ago. They moved to Wisconsin, but they spent a long time on that same yoga farm. Wow,
yeah, it's an incredibly healing, peaceful. Yeah, I relearned how to live as a human sober there. So, yeah.
Did you encounter other people on the spiritual path that were former drug users?
Oh yeah, tons. I mean,
it's weird. Whenever you get on a spiritual path, you tend to have a preconceived misconception that it's all halos and angels and
rainbows and butterflies. Yeah,
but it's mostly a bunch of crazy people that are on drugs trying to get out of their rock bottom and try to find the real way. And that's just the bottom line. We all get so crazy wrapped up in all of the energy of it all. And, it's bizarre.
Yeah. I noticed that a lot of people and, Russell Brand and Brene Brown, like I was saying, they're two of my biggest mentors. And a lot of people are looking for connection and love. And we are so isolated, and it's like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, independence. This culture is all like, do it yourself. You can't do it yourself.
No, yeah.
You have to have a community of people that will support you and love you. Like if I don't have my community, I go back to the addictive patterns.
Yeah.
Even now. So.
Well, really? So it's a constant thing for you to always be conscious of, right?
Yeah. Every day. Like they say, one day at a time, like it's totally every day. Yeah.
The great Saint Ramakrishna, who I'm a big fan of, I don't know, that's a wrong word to use the word fan when talking about a saint, but I really love Ramakrishna. And he was going around telling people in his temple area back in the day in India, everyone is of God, everyone is holy, everyone is your brother and sister. We must love all. We are all connected. There's no difference. Well, one day one of his devotees said, well, Master, you're preaching this, but at the same time, if I hang out with the harlot or the drunks, how do I separate myself from them? Aren't they of God as well? And he said, they are. He said, but some people must be saluted from a distance. And he said, the people you hang out with is the people that you will become who you hang out with. If you're at the party and there's people going in the bathroom doing coke, within, a couple of hours, you're probably going to be in the bathroom doing coke. So what you have to do is leave the party. And that's what another teacher said to me. He said, you have to leave the party. And he means that in every single way that it could be meant. And so I realized that that's part of it. You have to leave the party. You have to have like you said, you have to have a support system of some kind with either people that are high frequency folks or maybe a practice like yoga practice. So do you have something that you do that's like a regular practice or besides yoga? Do you have anything like that?
Yeah. Well, yoga is a big one for me. It always has been. So yoga for sure. I hike a lot.
And that includes meditation?
Yeah, yoga and meditation for sure. Like I have to keep those going. I'm actually slacking on my meditation and I can feel it.
Yeah, me too. How often do you meditate, or do you have a certain pattern?
I try to do every morning for 15 minutes to half an hour. And then I try to do at least a half an hour yoga practice every day.
It's so hard, isn't it, being so Western and like just finding 15 minutes, you think it would be easy, but I can hear in your voice that it's challenging. It is for me too. I mean, but I know that when we do even 5 minutes a day, a few times a day, it certainly seems to help. Yeah, even if I just do the mindfulness about I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, even if I can follow my breath all day, that's a win, you know? Big win, yeah. Yeah, and then I definitely, like, nature was a number one healer for me. So hiking, like being in nature, like being around that. What else? I definitely have a lot of practices and tricks and stuff that Nature's a good one. I know several years ago, you and I and some other friends, we all went down to McLeod Falls, and that was so awesome. Oh, yeah, that was awesome. I love that place. Yeah. We have so much nature here, and we're so lucky. So if you're looking to, connect with nature, boy, this is the place to do it. Yeah. We have a lot of listeners that are actually tuned in from outside of the... outside of Oregon. I should say hi to some of them right now, actually. Thank you to Laura Rogers, who's listening in Peoria, Illinois right now. Dan Wapapa, he's tuned in. Dan has a great show, which I'll talk about a little bit later here. I'm going to find some information about that so I can talk about it with respect and justice. Also, Jason and Vanessa Hauk are tuned in. Hey, guys. And Gina said she's got some friends in Takilma who are tuned in. So, hello, Takilma. Hey. Yeah, you are listening to KSKQ Radio. And if you just tuned in, you're listening to the EARTHEART Radio Show with my guest, Gina Ray Devi. Underwriting support for this program is made possible by Rogue Tax Professionals in Medford, Oregon. The team at Rogue Tax Professionals wants to express their deepest gratitude to the business owners in the cannabis industry for their support of the accounting firm over the last several years. Rogue Tax provides business advisory, tax preparation, and tax planning services in the hemp and marijuana industries. For more information about Rogue Tax Professionals, visit roguetax.com. KSKQ thanks Rogue Tax Professionals and listeners like you for supporting community radio. And of course, we're talking with Gina about achieving sobriety through spirituality. And do you have any favorite saints? I know, didn't you have experience with the saint known as Amma? Yeah, I have had, like you just were saying about your teachers, about how you have so many, like I've really gathered teachers in my life. Amma, yeah. Is she right up there on the top of your list? Amma's up there, yeah. Yeah, she's, I found her, I think when I was living in Hawaii, about the same time I found Ram Dass, and Amma were a good, beautiful combo at a time when I needed them. Yeah, I went to see Amma and I hugged her, and then I just started loving her and seeing her every time I could. Wow. How many times have you seen Amma? I think 7 now. Wow. Yeah. I've never seen her yet. Yeah, she's really sweet. I always want to, and I've been invited. I must admit it. I have friends that have said, come along, and just haven't made the time, I guess. Yeah, I mean, she's human and no one's perfect. And and I have some friends that follow her all over the world. And I have some people that aren't really a fan of her, but I love her. Yeah. Oh, me too. Do you know Nico Brown? Yeah, Nico is one of my close friends. Oh, okay. Because I know he goes and stays with her and does that too. He and McGean. Yeah. We've been friends for a while. I actually talked to Nico for just a second yesterday and asked him to be on the show, and we're going to do it in the spring, I think. Oh, great. He's got a lot of good stuff to talk about too. Yeah. I have other things I'm consulting with my notes right now. So. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything you would recommend to, say, somebody that maybe is flirting with the drug path or alcohol, or maybe they're on that path? Do you have any, like, a support system you would give advice? How would somebody, like, first get off of that path? Like, what would you say the first thing somebody could do if they were listening right now and they would like to get sober or start going in that direction? Yeah. They have to want to first, and then
Gosh, it honestly depends so much on the person. And
Willpower is definitely
they have to want
God
to.
power.
You have to 100% want to. It is a
Yes.
hard thing to do.
And if you really do want to, I feel you can do it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I looked online and there was, I got a lot of discouraging information when I was trying to get sober about relapse rates. And I was just like, nope. This is what I'm doing. Like, you have to really want to. And I think, take a yoga class, like listen to I would say Russell Brand is rad, like his recovery program, like all of his podcasts and YouTube videos, like he's so inspiring.
Yeah, you could type in Russell Brand, inspirational, just type in those words and probably get all kinds of stuff you could find on the internet.
Brene Brown, any of the ashrams, like Shivananda in Grass Valley was amazing, but go there after you've gotten clean. Like, don't use that as a tool for, AA works really well for a lot of people. Wasn't my personal path, but I would just start with like bringing a little bit of light into your life, ask for help, be willing to open up to people, be willing to ask for help.
That seems to be a big problem with a lot of folks because the shaming factor,
Yeah.
This country is just, like I said, it's okay to have beer, but you say you have a drug problem and, oh boy, you're a pariah,
Yeah.
So what you're saying is right, but it's so hard for folks, it seems like. I would suggest the same thing if you're listening and you are having a problem with dependency of any kind. I think Gina's correct. I think the path that really works best is to find a counselor or support group, of course, but also a spiritual path and support group. Like Self-Realization Fellowship is in Ashland. They meet on Thursdays and Sundays for group meditation. There's also plenty of Buddhist opportunities here for Buddhist temples. There's Christian temples. There's the Jewish temples. We have so many options here.
Yeah, the Story Church is a good one that I've actually dropped into a few times.
Now, where's that?
That is on B Street, the corner of B and like maybe 3rd or something, like kind of right there. It's called The Story. It's a lot of younger people. And it's like people that have found God or spirituality after a long period of not. And they're a good group of people too. There's so many opportunities in this town for support.
Now, what about the Unitarian Church? Have you explored there much?
Yeah, I have. I went in there a few times. I'm not sure. I go from time to time and drop in with them, but I don't, Yeah, same here, just here and there, kind of. Yeah.
It's great to just kind of go back and forth and check out different groups. It's fun.
Yeah, totally.
And there are so many of them. And there's also the Ashland Goddess Temple, which is awesome. I like going there a lot. Now, I'm sure you know Grail.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps to have a really tight-knit support system of people who love you, and then also your own discipline of like every day I am going to take this step or one step a day or like one moment at a time, like So when you were at your worst, when you were still using drugs before you decided to get clean and all that good stuff, did it get pretty bad? Was it to the point to where things were like, were you having like depression, or was there financial problems? What were the big problems you dealt with at your worst? Oh my goodness. All of
that
problem.
stuff. Yeah.
Imagine just, I think, it turned my life black. Like I said, I was pretty much kicked out or fired or ostracized and unhealthy, and I was extremely depressed. I was extremely paranoid. I was extremely isolated. My life was very, very small and very, very sad. Yeah.
After you did get clean, how long did it take for your friends and people that you loved to realize that you were serious and that you were good? Like, how long did that take?
I tried to hide it from a lot of people. I don't know if, I just lost touch with everybody. I dropped out. And I think it took about 1.5 years, I guess, for my serotonin levels and my dopamine levels, everything to come up to a normal level to where I could connect again. I think it was probably about 1.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Life is crazy.
Life is crazy.
It is.
Yeah, it is. And every morning I wake up and I get to like feel something is like a blessing, because
Yeah, because so often when we're, down that rabbit hole of whatever the addiction might be, our emotions are just pretty much on hold,
Yeah.
It's like we have this faucet we can't quite turn on. We know if we turn it on, it's going to pour, but it's just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And that's what happens then when you come off those kind of things. Your emotions come back, your clarity comes back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening right now and you're struggling, there's Addictions Recovery Center in Medford. You can call them and they can schedule a detox for you. I do know that you can go get assessments over in Medford and in Ashland. If you're listening locally, Addictions Recovery Center is the first thing I would suggest if you're literally trying to kick any habit right now. I know people that are, veterans, that are older folks. I know young people that have been there and gotten help.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking to kick any abusive situation, try there first perhaps and see if you can get yourself through detox. And then they have different options for like 60-day inpatient intensive rehabs. Or they have intensive outpatient rehab options as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that. Or like Gina said, you can actually take it into your own hands, make your own program with, yoga, spirituality, meditation, church, whatever it might be.
Yeah. And I would say definitely you think you can maybe do it on your own, but you do need some sort of help. And another thing I would probably add would be like, this isn't necessarily mainstream, but plant medicine helped me quite a bit throughout the years too.
Me too. I like the cannabis oils a lot. When when I was going through my thing, I was using cannabis oils and it worked like a charm.
Yeah. I actually did Daime a few times. Ayahuasca was helpful for me. Mushrooms were helpful for me.
Mushrooms are
Cannabis was helpful for me. Yeah.
That's a whole nother subject, but I will admit that psilocybin, they have done very, very recent tests on psilocybin, and they say that there's only one thing that can for sure get rid of depression, and that's psilocybin.
Yeah.
They're saying that's the only for sure cure for it. They say you can knock out really deep depressions in 8 hours with mushrooms.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm definitely, even though we're talking about drug abuse, we don't, at least I'm not putting psilocybin or cannabis in the same boat that I am heroin, meth, alcohol.
Yeah,
you know what I
neither,
mean?
yeah.
So, but there are folks out there that would argue with us. So I will say, to be fair,
just my opinion.
This is a good time to say this. The views and opinions expressed during this show are those of the speaker and guest and do not necessarily represent the views of KSKQ, the Multicultural Association of Southern Oregon, or the underwriters of KSKQ. Mm-hmm. Now we're protected and we're cool. That's
right
our opinion. Well, Gina, it's been good talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been great.
Is there anything you'd like to add or say at all?
No, no, thank you for the opportunity to share. And, I'd love to do it again. And
yeah, I just, I didn't know what I was trying to accomplish, except for maybe the elephant in the room isn't so big now. People should be able to talk about problems and addictions without being shamed or having to isolate or hide. I mean, there are people that really do care. I know you care. I care. So there's people that care.
Yeah, I think millions of people in this country are looking for a way to feel connected and to feel loved and to feel God. And, it's possible, and it's possible reasonably sober. So, if I can help one person just kind of pull themselves up, then that's a good thing.
It'd be a great thing. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Gina Ray Devi, my friend and Ashland resident, coming in to talk about sobriety through spirituality. Yeah. You're listening to KSKQ and the EARTHEART Radio Show. I go by Shankara Das or Derek Moody. And I think at this point in time, I would like to play a song by the late, great George Harrison, one of the best songs he ever wrote and one of the coolest spiritual rock songs ever. It's My Sweet Lord.
Whoop,
right?
whoop.
Yeah. Thanks again, Gina.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, my friend. Church of Rock, EARTHEART Radio, George Harrison. Thanks for being here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Thank you for being here at the EARTHEART Radio Show and KSKQ Radio. The late, great George Harrison with My Sweet Lord. I love that guy.
At EARTHEART Radio, our religion is love. Tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. on KSKQ.
Thank you for Sister Tracy and Little Jet Dog. They're tuned in over in South Ashland. Thanks for listening, guys. You can hear Sister Tracy on the radio at 7 p.m. this evening. She is the co-host and co-producer of the 20-year running Church of Rock radio show, and that'll be on tonight from 7 until 9. Underwriting support is provided by Jacksonville Realty. Jacksonville Realty and its affiliates have been providing quality residential, rural, and commercial realty services in the Rogue Valley for over 10 years. Specializing in custom and personalized services to meet their clients' individual needs. Jacksonville Realty is located in the historic town of Jacksonville, across from the Jacksonville Inn. Additional information can be found at jvillerealty.com. And KSKQ thanks Jacksonville Realty and all our underwriters for supporting community radio. My friends, it's time to do what we do each week on Earth Heart, and that's to spotlight a high-frequency individual temporary residing in a human body, or somebody that did that in the past.
Saints, angels, avatars, sages, yogis, holy men, medicine women, helpers, elders, revolutionaries, and advocates of love. Today we honor and show love, respect, and gratitude.
I also want to say special rest in peace and much love and respect to Grandma Aggie, who has left this material plane of existence. Grandma Aggie was the eldest member of the Takelma tribe, and I have much respect for Grandma Aggie, and I wish I had more information to talk about now, but maybe we'll do a special show and dedicate the entire show to Grandma Aggie, and maybe we could get somebody from the community to come on and join me. I want to say I've been thinking about not continuing to do the show. I just have had mixed feelings about doing this show, but today I heard from a few people that gave me some encouragement, and one of those people was Dan Wapapa, and he told me that he liked the show, and that was enough to make me want to continue doing the show. I really I respect that guy so much, and I really think that that's enough to keep me, I feel like I'm on the right path. If he respects the show, then I'm doing something right. So, Dan, thank you so much, my brother. And I really appreciate you and your show, First Nations, with Dan Wapipa. It's on Fridays at 2 o'clock. First Nations, Dan Wapipa. Rest in peace, Grandma Aggie. Much love, and thank you. Today we are paying tribute to a saint known as Sai Baba of Shirdi, also known as Shirdi Sai Baba. He was an Eastern Indian spiritual master who is regarded by his devotees as a saint and faker. He is revered by both his Hindu and Muslim devotees during as well as after his lifetime. According to accounts from his life, he preached the importance of realization of the self and criticized love for perishable things. His teaching concentrated on a moral code of love, forgiveness, helping others, charity, contentment, inner peace, and devotion to the God and Guru. Sai Baba also condemned distinction based on religion or caste. It remains unclear if he was Muslim or Hindu. This, however, was of no consequence to Sai Baba. His teachings combined elements of Hinduism and Islam. He gave the Hindu name Dwarkamai to the mosque in which he lived, practiced both Hindu and Muslim rituals. He taught using words and figures that drew from both traditions, and he took samadhi in Shirdi. Sai Baba's date of birth, including his birthplace, remains unknown and is debatable due to lack of evidence, and no definitive information does exist to prove it. Most information known about Sai Baba was written by a disciple named Himadpini in 1922. Sai Baba's real name remains unknown as well. The name Sai was given to him by Mal Sapati when he arrived in Shirdi, a town in West India. The word Sai refers to a religious mendicant, but also can mean God. In several Indian and Middle Eastern languages, the term Baba is an honorific title signifying grandfather, father, old man, or sir. So, Sai Baba does denote Holy Father, Saintly Father, and Venerable or Poor Old Man. His exact birth date, again, is unknown, but is guessed to be around 1838. As a young man, Sai Baba led an ascetic life, sitting motionless under a neem tree and meditating while sitting in an asana. The people of the village were wonderstruck to see such a young lad practicing hard penance, not minding the heat or the cold. By day, he was associated with no one, and by night, he was afraid of nobody. Sai Baba's disciples and devotees claim that he performed many miracles such as bilocation, levitation, mind reading, materialization, exorcisms, entering a state of samadhi at will, lighting lamps with water, removing his own limbs and intestines, which is called Khandana Yoga, curing the incurably sick, preventing a mosque from falling down on people. Yes, there were witnesses to these things. And he gave darshan to people in the form of Shiva, Krishna, Sri Rama, and others, depending on the faith of the devotee. According to his followers, Sai Baba appeared to them in their dreams, and he gave them advice. On August 1918, I'm not sure of the exact date, Shirdi Sai Baba told some of his devotees that he would soon be leaving his mortal body. Towards the end of September, he had a high fever and he stopped eating. As his condition deteriorated, he asked his disciples to recite holy texts to him and continue to meet visitors. But on October the 15th, 1918, Sai Baba breathed his last breath. His remains were interred at Butiwada in Shirdi, after which it became a place of worship, known today as the Shirdi Sai Baba Temple in India. These people are so very interesting, and there's just so many of them. Like, you know, who do you pay tribute to next, huh? Maybe on the next show. Now, next week I won't be here, my friends, because I'm going to be going to a 1-week silent retreat. I'm leaving tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. For completely to be alone for 7 days. No phone, no talking, nothing. And that's what's happening. So I won't be here next week, but I'll be back the week after. And perhaps if I can get the information, I would like to perhaps pay tribute to Grandma Aggie. And if I can't do it on that show, I'll do it on another show soon. A couple of quotes by Sai Baba, and then I'll play a song that's dedicated to him. This is a quote from Sai Baba of Shirdi. Life is a song, sing it. Life is a game, play it. Life is a challenge, meet it. Life is a dream, realize it. Life is a sacrifice, offer it. Life is love, enjoy it. Pretty good advice there, my friends. And now, as I cue up the song for you, I would like to introduce the tune that I'm going to play. I'm not the best at introducing or pronouncing anything, to be quite honest. Right now, this is called Shirdiwali Sai Baba Master Rana by Sur Mandir. And in about 5 seconds, I should be able to play it for you. I hope you enjoy this little tune. It's quite harmonious. You're listening to KSKQ Radio and the Earth Heart Radio Show. And I really do appreciate each and every one of you being here today. Thanks so much. Enjoy.
तुझे सब मानते हैं, तेरा घर जानते हैं, चले आते दौड़े जो खुशकिस्मत है तोड़े, यार राहिल की मंजिल, यार कासिद का साहिल, जिसे सबने निकाला उसे तूने संभाला, जिसे सबने निकाला उसे तूने संभाला। तू बिछड़ों को मिलाए, मुझे दीपक जलाए, तू बिछड़ों को मिलाए, मुझे दीपक जलाए, तू बिछड़ों को मिलाए, मुझे दीपक जलाए, ये गम की रातें रातें ये काली, इनको बना दे ईद और दिवाली, शिरडी वाले साईं बाबा आया है तेरे दर पे सवाली, शिरडी वाले साईं बाबा आया है तेरे दर पे सवाली, लब पे दुआएं आंखों में आंसू, दिल में उम्मीदें पर झोली काली, शिरडी वाले साईं बाबा आया है तेरे दर पे सवाली, शिरडी वाले साईं बाबा आया है तेरे दर पे सवाली। शिरडी वाले साईं बाबा, शिरडी वाले साईं बाबा।
You are at the EARTHEART Radio Show and KSKQ Radio. Fun little harmonious number there. Shirdi Sai Baba Master Rana. Yeah. Moody with you, a.k.a. Shankaradas. Getting ready for some positive news. Kick back, relax, and enjoy that because this is going out for Brother Rick over in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He told me that he really likes the positive news segment of the show, and it's for you today, Brother Rick. It really is.
Please let go of your fear. Positive news is here. Things aren't as bad as it seems, no matter what they say. News with an agenda is meant to instill fear. True news can instill hope.
Indeed. This is all real news you're going to hear. None of that fake stuff. And hopefully it'll make you feel a little better today, right? You never know. Positive news, story number 1, Brother Rick. Here we go. She's no longer walking to work. Adriana Edwards used to have to walk to work 4.5 hours a day in order to get there and back each day. That's a lot of walking. Edwards, who works at a Denny's restaurant in Galveston, Texas, has been scrimping and saving to buy herself a car so she would no longer have to make that 14-mile trek to and from her job. Boy, that's a lot of walking, man. 4.5 hours a day? Anyway, thankfully, the hardworking waitress now has a new car to call her own, but it's not the one she bought with her own money. An anonymous couple who Edwards had been serving at her restaurant earlier this week was spurred on to buy a car for their hardworking waitress after they learned about her grueling commute. Hours after they paid their bill, they returned to the waitress with a 2011 Nissan Sentra and handed the keys to the dumbfounded Edwards. Their only condition for the gift was that Edwards simply pay the good deed forward. Now that she's freed from having to buy a car, Edwards says that she will be able to put herself through college much sooner than she expected, and she's already planning on using her good fortune to help others. And that's the way it should work, right? Positive news number 2. Years after an accidental text, man still gets together with the grandma who invited him to Thanksgiving dinner. Yep, back in 2016, Jamal Hinton received a text message from Wanda Dench inviting him to her Thanksgiving dinner. The message had been intended for Wanda's grandson, but upon realizing her mistake, she invited to dinner the young man anyway. Yes, she said, that's what grandmas do. They feed everyone. So despite how Hinton lives in Phoenix, Arizona, which is about an hour and a half from Wanda's house in Mesa, he did indeed stop by for dinner, and their serendipitous holiday mix-up went viral. Hinton has been to every single one of Wanda's Thanksgiving dinners since the mix-up. Not only that, but they make sure to regularly text each other and maintain contact throughout the year. In addition to dinner every few months, the two recently went to a pumpkin picking. As to how the news media picked up on their story, Jamal said, I love when people tell me it restores their faith in humanity, which I get a lot. We are both very happy and grateful that we could be the centerpiece to such an amazing story and to bring joy and faith in so many different people. Awesome. Positive news story number 3, my friends, here at Earth Heart Radio Show. 2 sisters raised more than $5,000 to buy Thanksgiving meals for families in need. For the 3rd year in a row, 2 sisters in North Carolina raised money to provide meals for families that could not otherwise afford a dinner. Alex, age 9, and Caroline, 6, raised enough money to provide Charlotte Rescue Mission, CRM, with 130 Thanksgiving food boxes and 50 turkeys. This will provide meals for 200 local families. The money was raised from their hard work at a lemonade stand and some bake sales. The Thanksgiving food boxes costed approximately $20 each. They contained green beans, sweet yams, cranberry sauce, stuffing, rice, pie crust and filling, a baking pan, and a frozen turkey. They buy all their food locally. They recruit help from their neighbors to pack the boxes and to rent a truck and to deliver the goodies by November 23rd. Love everybody, serve the people, and remember God. Positive news story number 4. New Hampshire woman collects more than 160,000 cards for troops overseas. A New Hampshire woman is doing all she can to make sure American troops know that people are thinking of them this holiday season. What started as a family tradition is now a massive nonprofit organization. Laura Landerman has helped collect more than 100,000 holiday cards and is sending them to members of all 5 military branches all over the world. Quote, it's easy to lose sight that there are plenty of people, especially in military, who are far from home. So Laura decided to bring a little bit of home to the military. In 2017, they mailed 17,000 cards. In 2018, there were 50,000, and this year, over 160,000. Wow. She's even gotten presidential candidates on board, including Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and the great Bernie Sanders. Last but not least, more big hearts beating like drums. Then there's the secret donor who just keeps on giving. A mystery benefactor has been handing out surprise bags of money for local causes in the German city of Brunswick. The bags have been appearing at regional newspapers with instructions on which charity the money should go to. A hospice, churches in need of repair, and a bureau for crime victims are among causes to have benefited. The donor's identity is a mystery. That's so cool. Hey, man, I've got time for maybe one more song. Let's do it. Track 12 on this here CD titled Buddha Lounge is by a musician by the name of Rodelius. It's called Glass from Jasper at the Earth Heart Radio Show and KSKQ. You are listening to the Earth Heart Radio Show. Thank you for being here. I'm Shankara Das, a.k.a. Derek Moody, and I appreciate you guys. Next week, I will not be here, but I will be back the following week, I promise. If you have any guest ideas or comments, please go to the Earth Heart Radio Facebook page. And thank you and much love to everyone.
You've been listening to Earth Heart Radio with your host, Shankara Das. Earth Heart Radio is produced by Shankara Das in association with Sister Tracy and Krishna Consciousness. Please tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for more Earth Heart Radio.